சார் தமிழ்நாட்டில் எங்களுக்கு வந்து ஒரு அபிப்பிராயம் இருக்கு. என்னன்னா ஆர்மியில் வந்து the use of Hindi as a connecting language, say ekgadam bayechal deyechal, all these commands and all these things are Hindi அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. So you have any relationship of Tamil war cry or language of Tamil getting connected somewhere in some regiment or anything, sir?
Of course.
Any light on that?
There are many like I am from the Madras regiment.
Cool, super.
நானே மெட்ராஸ் ரெஜிமெண்ட்ல இருந்தேன் 40 வருஷமா இருந்தேன். அதில் எங்களோட வார்க்கரையே வந்து வீர மெட்ராசி அடிக்கொல்லு அடிக்கொல்லு அடிக்கொல்லு,
வீர மெட்ராசி அடிக்கொல்லு அடிக்கொல்லு
அடிக்கொல்லு அடிக்கொல்லு. அது மாதிரி நிறைய யூனிட்டில் அவங்களோட வார்க்கரை வந்து தமிழில் இருக்கும். பர்டிகுலர்லி அந்த ரெஜிமெண்ட்லேயோ அந்த யூனிட்லேயோ தமிழ் ஜாஸ்தி இருந்தால் அந்த ரெஜிமெண்ட்டில் அந்த யூனிட்லலாம் அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கும்.
Thank you.
It has always contributed towards national security. There is no doubt about it. Because look at the number of people who are serving in the armed forces. Look at the number of people who are serving in the government, central government. Look at the number of people who are actually joining the central armed police forces, paramilitary forces. There's a lot of contribution as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned towards that particular aspect. That is one. Second thing, you also find that the number of minds that work on various issues like cyber, like technology, those today are in a big demand for technology security, data security. You have cyber security, a whole lot of issues. So I think the contribution of Tamil Nadu can be said to be good. Like any other issue, it can always be better, but it has been very good.
There are many fields, but just to pick one, I think data is something which is the next fuel. And I think data, including analysis, collation, dissemination, and even getting data into decision making is very important, and that can be led digitally very well. So I think that is the field where people can focus. But being from the military background, I would like to say that, we should also focus on startups which are beyond IT, data, and the current scheme. Focus on the defense corridor. How can we have manufacturing technology coming in, whether it's something based on AI, something based on aerospace, aviation, or drones, or any niche technology which helps to do the task better today, including carriage of logistics and stores like that. So I think there are enough fields to work on. But like you said, one, I would say
the biggest data. Thank you, sir. So, a common question.
I'll add two, if you don't mind.
Sure, sir.
I'll add 2 or 3 more to this. Today, cutting-edge technologies are in 3-4 niche areas. One is space, the other one is quantum technologies, third one is artificial intelligence, and the fourth one is, of course, which is coming up now, is metaverse. So there are a number of technology fields in which you need to be working on, and I am aware that within India there is a lot of work that is being done in these fields, but we need catching up to do. It's not a question of, if you look at it from the capability point of view, I think China has got better capabilities, and so we need to be looking at them more. But notwithstanding whether China or Pakistan, we need to pay attention to our borders equally, and we need to develop the infrastructure, we need to build up our capabilities, typically in the asymmetric fields, like for example cyber, space, which I talked to you about, cyber I talked to you about, artificial intelligence. Those are the fields in which you'll be able to catch up fast.
It is a 20-kilometer broad area wherein you find the pipeline, the road, and the rail, and the communication lines all pass through the gap. Therefore, you find it a problem in case that is cut off, the entire northeast gets cut off. There are many scenarios in which it can happen. Those have been worked out already, and we also worked out how to defend it. Let me tell you only this much: sleep peacefully. We will take care.
I don't think it is just fueled by journalists. For last 100 years, the so-called Tamil or Dravidian or whatever identity you talk about has been systematically nurtured. Today morning, and I asked some person, a friend of ours, that you tell me a single instance before 1920 where a Tamilian fought against a Kannadiga or any Hindi speaking or whatever speaking person on the basis of Tamil identity. There is no instance. So, unless we decolonize ourselves on this identity issue, we are not going to deal this just by security understanding. And that's why I am saying that this is basically a battle of ideas. Now, there is one interesting trend that started from the US. You may not be even aware of this. It's something called a movement for Mithilanchal. Now, Maithili is a language which is spoken in northern part of Bihar and also in some parts of Nepal. Now, suddenly, Maithili is being propped up as an identity. Now, for us, as I said, language was never identity. British introduces the mistake that we made, or perhaps our, the great Congress party made, was on the basis of those identities, Congress formed its units. Otherwise, in Madras Presidency, what was the language? There were so many languages. What was the language of Cholas? Pandyas? No, was it only Tamil?
No.
Still we didn't fight. Why? Because for us, it was a means of communication. The state never had language or religion in India. The problem is the ideas that we have conceived through the British prism. Two kings who made their personal religion as state religion, we consider them secular, Ashoka and Akbar. So, we are actually selling the wrong ideas. So, I am hinting basically at the education, fundamental research, not only in technological terms, but also in terms of humanities and social sciences. I am seeing security threats coming more from there rather than across the borders.
I'll just add on to what Prabhuji said. As far as the internal security is concerned, the one which is supposed to govern it is the Home Ministry. We have a robust structure, but it doesn't happen at the pace which a public perceive is supposed to happen. Like for PFI, the PFI and its the effect of PSA, the extreme radicalization coupled with murders, an act of violence and terrorism. It took 5-6 years to build it up, to make it a robust case, watertight, and then you go and ban the organization one day, coupled with actions from NIA and so on. So unless and until we have that sort of thing, it is going to take some time. Separatism thoughts are being monitored. It is not that it is not monitored, but till date, this so-called idea of separate Tamil Nadu or Dravidistan or whatever we call it, doesn't have got any popular support, even in peak of those movements in 1960s. It's less than 1%. It's not a political issue. As we close in towards the elections, any election you can see, they will never open a mouth about any of the such stuff. So we can just continue to happily encourage them to do so. Nothing is going to happen. Thank you.
If you see China, they are claiming that Arunachal Pradesh. Sir, if you see China.
Don't worry, I can hear you. Go ahead. I'm sure everybody can hear you.
Yes, sir.
You have a good voice.
Yes, sir. Like if you see China, they are claiming that Arunachal Pradesh is there, and they are building the temporary villages there, and now they are coming to the Sri Lanka. And when we see the Pakistan occupied Kashmir through the Belt and Road Initiative, they are constructing their infrastructure there in Pakistan. So that how India going to overcome the Chinese aggression in these regions, sir?
Okay. See, just because somebody claims something, it doesn't become yes. Just because China claims Arunachal Pradesh will not become his. It is ours and will continue to be ours. Regarding certain villages that have been brought up, it is part of something known as Xiaokang villages, moderately well-off villages is what they call it. 628 of them have been built along the border. Okay, that is basically to improve the infrastructure along that border, what they have. Out of it, about 400 plus have come on the eastern sector of the Arunachal Pradesh, rest of it is spread over on the other sides. That is basically something to develop the border and settle the populations there. It has got an inherent problem in settling the border, particularly when we do the boundary question discussions with them. It might create a problem in future, but that is being looked into separately. That is only one issue of it. You talked about BRA, that I don't call it BRA, I call it One Belt One Road initiative. The reason for that is simple. The Chinese website still says Ita Ilu, which means One Belt One Road. They just changed the name because somebody protested whose road, where is it going? so they just quietly changed the name and said it is Belt and Road Initiative, right? Belt and Road Initiative, you please look at two corridors. You talked about China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which comes through Pakistan, but you have not mentioned about China-Myanmar Economic Corridor, which comes from Myanmar. Their problem was Malacca Strait, which is a choke point where if countries come together, they can do something good. To avoid that, they need to come to Indian Ocean region. To come to Indian Ocean, they need to have an access to either India or to Pakistan or to Myanmar. India is not going to give that access. Okay? So they have gone into Pakistan side, and they have gone into Myanmar side and come into Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. So this is their plot. It is well understood by us. Okay? Today, please look at where Pakistan is as far as CPEC is concerned, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is concerned. They are not able to pay back their loans. Chinese have helped them out $700 million now, but beyond that, they are not helping them. They are not rescheduling, they reschedule their loans, but they are not cancelling those loans. So the loan liability on Pakistan is increasing. Myanmar has been very, very careful. They have not accepted the projects that were given by the Chinese. They are very chary of it. The internal problems in Myanmar because of Chinese influence increasing there. So it is not as if Chinese are coming everywhere and we are doing nothing. I didn't want to take long to explain this, but if you want, I can do this as to how in each of the countries in our neighborhood, how we are doing compared to the Chinese. We are not doing badly at all. Just what happens. Before that, let me give you one anecdote on Hamban Tota, which he talked about. You know, Hamban Tota is one of the ports which are very least visited by the ships, right? And whatever business comes to Hamban Tota, can you all guess where it goes from? Chennai. Okay. The cars produced in Chennai are going to Hamban Tota. From there, they are get offloaded and then reloaded and go somewhere else. So, sustenance of Hamban Tota will being sustained by us. So be aware of this. That is one. The question which came up about the manufacturing tools and why we can't do this. IT. Not only IT. Today we talk about semiconductors, right? Semiconductors have got. I'm coming to the IT part. Let me explain this through that. Semiconductors have got two parts. One is designing, the other one is manufacturing through fabs and everything else. Almost 80% of world's semiconductors are designed by Indian designers. Okay? But we don't produce them. The reason for that is very simple. Each fab costs about $10 to $15 billion to establish, and added to that is the running cost. So there are issues related to that, and again, even China is not able to produce those modern semiconductors of say 532 nanometers, basically because the lithography machines which are to do that have to come from Netherlands, and US has put an embargo on that. So you find it is not one country can produce everything that it wants. It is not possible in today's world. So therefore you need to be dependent on outside supply chains that come to you. But what we can do, and it is being done, is to diversify those supply chains, build resilience in those supply chains to ensure that what happened in January to March of 2020 doesn't happen again. Because China shut down, many of the stuff didn't come to India or any other place in the world. As a result, many economies suffered. Like for example, your active pharma ingredients, key starting materials for pharmaceuticals, your solar panels, your automobile spare parts, your power sector, all of them are dependent on China. So you'll have to build resilient supply chains, you'll have to build manufacturing capabilities within the country. This I've been saying in many of the forums. I'm sure some people dealing with the industry must be here. We in India need to build three things in the industry. One, we have to invest in R&D. Two, we need to have a long-term vision. Three, we need to have risk-taking capability. These three things are actually today lacking in our industries. That we need to build up. Then what you say can happen, but even then, everything cannot be produced in India. You have to be dependent on other countries.
If at all, for that project, and the returns which we get, it is nowhere proportionate. If we simply see it as a business, will I go and invest in that business? Unless I have a return, I will not invest. So politics around it, we all know how many years it's been going on. There is a religious sentiment attached to it, and there is a practicality of whether we should have a port or not. It is not going to get us anything. By bypassing Sri Lanka, or by going through that canal, how much of time are we going to save, and the transportation cost? It's very, very less.
There is a larger thing that has gone with that maybe that many of us don't know. That is the Prime Minister's wish to bring in nationalism in our youth. If you rotate more people, you will find more people joining, they get trained and more nationalism will come into it. Another project is going to come up very soon, which is creating a sainik school in every district, which is not there now, it is in one state. So these are things that are being thought about to bring in and induce nationalism in our youth. That is one of the reasons for Agni. Money saved will come only after 12 to 15 years, when after all these people go and people who are already serving will retire. But that is only one side issue, but main issue is to bring in nationalism into our youth.